couple of weeks ago, few knew that the iconic G4TV was back, already long since relaunched for a new generation, right here on YouTube. If nothing else, Froskurinn was the public face of enhancing awareness of that, as now everyone knows. However, as corporate owner Comcast has painfully come to learn in the past couple of weeks, not all publicity is good publicity. Froskurinn and the team of writers and producers behind her, half of which she'll have you know are women, may inadvertently have revealed that the Emperor has no clothes, and that G4TV no longer has a place. I'll begin this editorial by establishing some context, by ever so briefly going through the G4TV revival, before exploring Froskurinn screwing up, doubling down and then tripling down, and what her meltdowns have actually achieved for G4TV. Back in the days of yore, there was no YouTube or any other real opportunities to broadcast yourself. Fans, whether it be of movies, series, comics, games or anything else, did not have a whole slew of content creators to provide information, entertainment and honest takes like today. Instead, fans were at the mercy of what product establishment broadcasters saw fit to invest in and put out there. This is where G4 entered the picture. The Comcast-owned channel was launched in 2002 and was envisioned as MTV, but for video games, targeting young adult audiences. The channel was fairly successful for a good number of years, and their original programs X-Play and Attack of the Show were quite popular with audiences. As most of you will know, our good friend Chris Gore was one of the hosts, an occasional co-host, specializing in film coverage, a subject matter on which he is an expert. But all of G4's programming was highly produced, and that came at an equally high cost. As the years went, YouTube increasingly became a force to be reckoned with, and if there ever was a channel that was subject to competition from independent content creators on YouTube, it was G4. There were more factors, of course, but that one certainly did not help. Ratings started to slip, which meant less advertising revenue, which meant they had to cut back on original programming. But that was what drove audiences in the first place, so then the ratings slipped even more, and then the advertising revenue fell even more and, well yeah, you see where it's going. After some corporate back and forth, the plug was pulled on G4, roughly 1 decade after its launch. It was inevitable. Over the course of its run, the marketplace had changed, and time had simply ran out for the kind of product a network endeavor like G4 could offer. But fast forward yet another decade, and the inexplicable decision was made to bring it back. After sinking untold millions upon millions of dollars into the revival, G4 was brought back in November of 2021, now with live streaming on Twitch and YouTube. Kevin Pereira and Adam Sessler returned as hosts, alongside a number of newcomers, one of them being Indiana Black, who is also known as Froskurinn, which is Icelandic for frog. Sometimes that is shortened to Frosk, which is Norwegian for frog. But whatever she is called, no one cared about the revival or who was in it. Well, to be fair, I'm sure some must have cared, but on the whole, not many, because the relaunch made 0 waves. Case in point, the G4 YouTube channel, which was launched in 2006 during the height of the original run, has nearly 500,000 subscribers. But the overwhelming majority of them are dormant, as most of their post-relaunch videos only get from 5 to 10% of that number in views. In fact, the whole revival went completely under the radar until it was decided that Froskurinn should attack the audience. Here it should be noted that even before her on-stream meltdown, Froskurinn was already getting a lot of flack. Not for being a female, but for failing to be sufficiently informed about a number of subject matters she nonetheless had strong opinions about. And for being overtly partisan in her gaming console preferences, to the point where it was detrimental to the show at large. This is, however, in keeping with her character. While Froskurinn is somewhat prominent a figure within the world of esports, her background from there is as a colored commentator, meaning she makes silly voices and stupid jokes to fill in the dead air, when the actual competent commentators were waiting for something to happen that they could make informed commentary about. In short, while Froskurinn did get flack, she did so primarily because of her habit of expressing strong opinions on matters where she wasn't fully qualified to have one. The flack she got over that may have precipitated her rant in the January 11th livestream, where she out of the blue transitioned from Red Dead Online to a much more important topic, namely sexism in gaming. You've all seen the rant by now. In it, any and all criticism against her is dismissed as sexist because, and these are her own words, she isn't as bangable as previous hosts. That, by the way, is throwing some heavy shade at the previous hosts, because she just dismissed everything they brought to the table. Nevertheless, her co-hosts cheered her on, as she described some weird parallel universe in which
it has somehow been expected that you can talk about how much you jerked off to women as a compliment. It's not a compliment.
It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know what world she and the rest of the current G4 crew reside in, but it's clearly not the same as the one the rest of us inhabit. In the rant, which was at the very least in part scripted, and certainly cleared with producers in advance, Froskurinn chided every single male audience member watching for being a disgusting sexist, in accordance with the Ghostbusters 2016 playbook on how to handle criticism. But on the plus side, her rant did go viral, and in the process, significant awareness was raised that G4 is indeed back. So in that sense, great success. But did that increased awareness translate into increased viewership for G4TV? Well, Froskurinn's final recommendation and parting words to all existing and potential new audiences should give a hint.
If you don't like it, don't watch it. Peace!
That sounds familiar. Where have I heard a spiel like that before?
And if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. Problem solved.
Lo and behold, Froskurinn's rant did actually translate to increased views. For everyone else, that is, who made videos reacting to and pointing out how insane her rant actually was. It didn't do much for G4TV, save losing them 6,000 subscribers and counting in the past couple of weeks. That shouldn't be a big deal to a YouTube channel that, on paper, has nearly 500,000 subscribers. But it is in practice, when most of their videos only get a few tens of thousands of views each. In the aftermath, G4TV skipped out on a couple of scheduled live streams, and every subsequent video has been ratioed to oblivion. Public comments have gotten so bad that despite them deleting them like crazy on YouTube and severely restricting comments in Reddit and other fora, it does look as though the whole stunt kind of blew up in G4's face. Still, it worked out for Froskurinn herself though. When doubling down on Twitter, she gleefully pointed out how she had increased her personal income because of the rant. So I'm guessing she must get a cut of the video's commercial revenue? More recently, she tripled down, this time on Reddit, where she asserted that her critics were alt-right trolls who projected their own insecurities upon her. Which is rich coming from someone who has gone public about being diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, as one of the symptoms of that is projection. Not content with that, she also recommended that one particularly rational and articulate critic, whose arguments she failed to counter, should go read some feminist literature. Froskurinn does of course receive much support and praise from those who already agree with her, but I very much doubt that ultimate bill payer Comcast is too pleased about how all of this played out. They are the ones footing the bill for the G4 revival, and the millions they flush down the toilet on that, they won't be getting back. Gina Carano once said, "Don't try to ruin my life with lies, when your life can be ruined with the truth." That stuck with me, as it is rather profound, and on the whole applicable to this situation. Some of Froskurinn's more out-there attacks on the audience were so far out that no one can possibly take them seriously. But what was really damning was when she revealed the truth about G4.
Now, here at XPlay, our reviews are written and produced by a team of people. There are too many games for one person to shoulder the burden. So we divide and conquer. And when we use language like we or I, that's the reviewer. That's coming from the mouth and experience of the reviewer reading that review. And that's not to say that Gerard, TBH, Adam, or myself don't contribute to the reviews. We absolutely do. But it'll always be in varying degrees and take a whole team behind us.
In other words, she and all the other current batch of hosts are in some sense frauds. They are merely talking heads, narrating corporate reviews written by a team of writers. The only thing the hosts themselves add are a bit of colored commentary on top. So to anyone wondering why Froskurinn was hired in the first place, despite being at best so-so where actual knowledge about the subject matter is concerned, there's your answer. The team of writers will handle the technical stuff like writing actual reviews. From the hosts themselves, a bit of colored commentary is all that is required. So she's a perfect fit for the job.
That's why we're XPlay and not Adam Play. We have done the experiment and controlled for the variables. Adam will read a script written by the same writer that I will read the other half of the script for, but I'll be the one flamed.
Well, I guess it could be that the audience is just less responsive to her colored commentary than his. But that aside, I don't know what this Adam is clapping so profoundly for here, because Froskurinn just exposed him. No, I'm not talking about how he allegedly wishes death upon his own family members who lean conservative. Or how he has a history of making some pretty creepy remarks. Honestly, this guy is quite the piece of work too. What Froskurinn exposed about him though, is that by implication, he is as uninformed about the subject matter at hand as she is, as he is reading the same script as her. In other words, why should she be the only one to be flamed when he is no better? And that's actually a pretty fair point. So, if you liked Adam and the rest of the team's reviews before, will you, now that you know how staged they are, be able to watch them the same way again? In her rant about how there is just too many games out there for the host to handle without a whole team of writers behind them doing it for them, Froskurinn forgot about one little inconvenient detail. There's a whole slew of independent YouTube gaming channels and Twitch streamers that manage to do that just fine, all while doing the required research to perform informed analysis and breakdowns of the most recent games and developments within the gaming industry, and they do it all without getting a paycheck from Comcast for their trouble. What Froskurinn really did here was confirm to everyone that G4TV, in its current form, is a relic of a bygone era, one that there honestly is no place for and no consumer demand for in the current marketplace. Everything G4TV does, hundreds or even thousands of independent gaming channels can do better and more sincere, and they don't need a multi-million-dollar set that should have been left in the early 90s to do it. And here's the kicker. That's why G4TV failed in the first place a decade ago, and the marketplace isn't any better for something like G4 now. If anything, it's even worse. So why bring it back at all? To be clear, I don't know Comcast's strategy on the matter, but I would imagine that they imagined that in a landscape dominated by indie free thinkers, advertisers would be all in on a corporate channel devoted to gaming, one that would give the right kind of corporate reviews, and express advertiser and establishment-friendly opinions and hot takes only. It was a gamble to be sure, but if they were able to use nostalgia as a means to bring back G4 in a big way, then advertisers could have made that a very profitable endeavor for Comcast. But in order for the advertisers to come, the audience has to be there. And prior to Froskurinn's rant, the audience mostly weren't even aware that G4 was back. Thanks to Froskurinn, they now know. But they also know it's a relic that was displaced by YouTube and Twitch a decade ago, and so there is very little reason to check it out. On top of that, they now know it's run by talking heads who are crazy activists, which further diminishes what little reason to check it out there was in the first place. And that's the thing, Froskurinn didn't do anything but speed up a demise that was coming with or without her anyway. Because unless Comcast found a hitherto unknown way of monetizing it, then between first and foremost the outdated concept, Froskurinn's meltdowns and Adam's hatred of half the audience, they're not getting the money they sunk into this back again. So, how long will they keep throwing good money after bad? Let me know what you think in the comments.